What's up, YouTube? Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving weekend and were able to spend some times with family and friends, albeit in person or in Zoom, because, we are living through some crazy times. And with that, I've started to change my portfolio allocation again, and I'm looking back at silver because now that it's come down a bit, I can look to rebuy and re-enter because it looks like there is a bit of speculation going on again in the stock market. And when that happens, I do think that there's an opportunity. So now that there's a new president-elect, I've worked on redistributing or reallocated my portfolio to be a bit heavier in the stock market. And also, I'm waiting in on precious metals because I do think there's going to be a big cash infusion into small businesses and business in general, because ultimately that's what we're going to need in order to kickstart the economy again, well, at least for Main Street, because Wall Street is doing great. I know some of you might not be happy about the new president-elect, but either way, you should still plan for it because that's more than likely the way it's going, given the way the court cases are going. Because Trump is losing pretty much everything right now, unless a court decides to throw out all mail-in ballots, which seems highly unlikely. But in the event that they do, that's fine. Ultimately, I'll go to my original plan. But for now, let's assume that Biden will become president in 2020. With a new president comes new initiatives and new goals. And depending on the plan, we're going to see exactly where the money's going to start to flow from the government. So some of it is definitely going to be in technology because there's going to be a lot of operational efficiencies that are going to be created and pushed forward. I do see old tech being, slowly changing in a negative way. So I'm pulling money out of old technologies and moving them into new technologies. I'm also looking at more index funds, either managed funds or, the good old SPY index. And also looking at silver again, just as a hedge to protect some cash. Because over the last couple of years, I've done pretty well. I've made some good investments in crypto, in my property, in different areas of my life. And now I want to protect them a little bit more. And that's just one of those things that comes with experience and time as you accumulate more wealth. And as you accumulate, some of the things that you may want to do is both protect yourself, your assets, in both the physical and logical form, which is, protect your assets through different strategies, investment strategies, so that you don't get too hurt by any single shift in the market. And the other is to protect your physical person based on what's been happening over the past year with all the different riots, looting, and, protests that we've seen both from the right and the left. Under normal circumstances, this Glock 17 would be pretty easy to find, but these days it's actually quite difficult, and they run for about $800. But fortunately, that's not what I paid. Instead, I picked this one up as my backup just because I do think these kinds of things will be harder to find, because since Biden won, usually people on the right do feel a little bit more threatened and tend to load up on ammunition and guns. So you got to prep early. Preparation is getting ahead of the curve rather than behind the curve. So I would implore you, if you were thinking about it, get it sooner rather than later, and then just sit on it so that you can just not have to worry when things do get a little bit crazy, if they do, because I do sense that this denial of President-elect Biden is going to go for a year, if not more, depending on whether or not people decide to accept the fact that Trump lost. And if they don't, more than likely we're going to have additional kinds of protests, and there's going to be some craziness, but hopefully there isn't. For now, let's just look at focusing on how we can make some cash, which is to look at different stocks. So the sectors that I'm mainly looking at are still real estate, And I do think there's going to be a wealth distribution because of the different taxes that's going to increase. So I do think a lot of people are going to start moving. With that said, it's kind of funny that Trump did have that effect on the entire country, where we talk about wealth distribution, but in a way, it's happening in an indirect way. Because people have gotten used to those tax cuts and everything that's happening with the remote work and the virus, a lot of people are actually moving out of coastal areas and taking their money with them and going into more rural areas and less densely populated areas. So there is a migration in within the United States that's happening now, and some of you may or may not like it, but it's happening as we speak. I know a lot of colleagues on my own who have been moving to different parts of the country, specifically in the Midwest, taking California money and moving to Texas, Kansas, and Tennessee, for example. And I know that we have a lot of people from New York also leaving New York and spreading around, not just for the economics of it because of higher taxes, but also just to get a little bit more space given that COVID is a thing. I'll touch more on this in future videos, but I did just want to come out and say there's some change coming. There's a new sheriff in town, and looks like we're going to have a different kind of cleanup over the next 4 years. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but it's America. We'll get through it. Let's just try to make as much money as we can, and let's hope that there's not a lot of political crap going on. I really would like for politics to get boring again, and where we can focus on business and the next thing to be upset about other than politics, right? Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button and comment or subscribe if you're up for it. Thanks for watching.